In a world full of secrets and lies, there is nothing more painful than discovering that the person you trusted the most has been lying to you for years. Nicole, a strong and loving woman, is faced with the shocking truth about Carlton, the man she once thought was the rock of her life. The two children that Carlton kept hidden, a deep secret that Nicole is now forced to face, is not only an emotional betrayal, but also a mental shock that she never thought would happen. In the fight for truth and justice, Nicole must decide whether she can forgive and continue living in the darkness of lies, or stand up to this betrayal and regain control of her life. This article will explore Nicole's anger, pain and deep inner conflicts as she faces difficult decisions, with the plots and internal battles that she cannot avoid. Nicole had always lived a life built on trust, respect, and love. But everything she thought she knew about Carlton was shattered in an instant when she stumbled upon the devastating truth: he had two secret children, a hidden part of his life that had remained locked away, buried deep in a past she never knew existed. The shock hit her like a tidal wave, sweeping away all the certainty and security she once had. Carlton had been her rock. The man she had trusted with her heart, the one who had been there through every dark moment. Their life together seemed perfect, full of promise and stability. But now, Nicole was questioning everything she had ever believed in. How could he keep something so monumental from her? Why had he hidden this truth for so long? And worse yet, what else was he hiding? Her mind raced with questions that had no easy answers. Her world, once so familiar, now felt like a lie. The anger inside her began to simmer. The more she thought about it, the more she realized that Carlton hadn't just lied to her about the children, he had kept them a secret as if they were a threat to his carefully crafted image of their life. What did they represent? Were they a part of some larger conspiracy? She couldn't understand why he would choose to keep such a crucial part of his life from her. Was their love a lie? Was she just a pawn in his manipulative game? In the silence of the night, Nicole's thoughts turned darker. She found herself blaming herself for not seeing the signs. She had been blind, too trusting, too naive. How could she have missed the clues? How long had he been deceiving her, and why had he chosen now to let the truth slip through? Every moment she had spent with him now felt tainted, like a cruel joke. The betrayal was worse than any physical wound she could have suffered. It was a wound to her heart, to her very being. Her emotions twisted into a tangled mess of rage, confusion, and heartbreak. Nicole had built her life around the idea of being with someone who was honest, someone who would never betray her. Now, she felt exposed. The anger coursing through her veins made it hard to think clearly. She wanted to confront him, to demand answers. But a part of her feared what she might uncover. If he had been lying to her about this, what else had he been hiding? What other secrets was he keeping? The anger inside her became a driving force. She couldn't let this slide. Carlton had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. But confronting him was not enough. No, she had to do more. She had to destroy the life they had built together. But how? What would it take to make him feel the weight of the betrayal he had inflicted on her? As Nicole spiraled deeper into her fury, she found herself considering things she had never imagined before. Could she go so far as to expose his secrets to the world? To tear apart his carefully constructed life? Was this the only way to reclaim her power, to ensure he never controlled her again? In a moment of clarity, Nicole made a decision. She couldn't stay passive any longer. She would fight back. She would expose Carlton for who he really was, and in doing so, she would take control of her life again. But to do that, she would need help. She would need to gather allies, people who could help her bring down the man who had shattered her trust. But even as she prepared to confront him, Nicole knew there was a price to pay. She was about to enter a dangerous game, one that could cost her everything. The more she plotted, the more she realized that this wasn't just about Carlton. This was about power, control, and revenge. In this high-stakes game, no one was innocent, and everyone had something to lose. Carlton, oblivious to the storm that was brewing, continued to hide in his web of lies. He didn't know that Nicole was onto him, that she had uncovered his dark secrets. But when she finally confronted him, it wasn't going to be a simple conversation. It was going to be a reckoning. The confrontation between Nicole and Carlton would be like nothing he expected. When she finally spoke, it wasn't just words that would come out, it was the culmination of years of anger, betrayal, and heartache. The anger that had been building inside her would explode, and when it did, it would change everything. No more pretending. No more lies. The truth would come crashing down, and there would be no escaping the consequences. But as Nicole prepared for this final showdown, she realized that the battle was bigger than just her and Carlton. There were other forces at play, people with their own agendas who would stop at nothing to control the situation. Nicole wasn't just fighting for her own peace of mind, she was fighting for her freedom, for her future, for everything she had ever dreamed of. And to win, she would have to be ruthless, cunning, and willing to sacrifice everything. As the days passed, Nicole's determination grew stronger. She could feel the power shifting in her hands, and with every move she made, she felt more in control of her own destiny. Carlton may have thought he held all the cards, but Nicole was ready to take the game back into her own hands. The battle lines were drawn, and the stakes were higher than ever. Nicole was prepared to do whatever it took to expose the truth, and destroy the man who had betrayed her. And when the dust settled, Nicole would stand victorious. But at what cost? What would she lose in the process? The emotional toll would be enormous, but in the end, she would be free, free from the chains of deception, free from the man who had manipulated her for so long. In that moment, as the final pieces of the puzzle fell into place, Nicole would find the strength to reclaim her life and her future, no matter the consequences. Nicole stood in the darkness of the quiet room, the dim light illuminating her determined face. The anger, the disappointment, the pain of betrayal were no longer fleeting emotions, but a part of her, seemingly ingrained in every cell. She felt the weight of the truth that Carlton had kept hidden for years, and it not only shattered her trust in him, but also forced her to confront a self she had never dared to look directly at. Nicole could no longer live in the dark, she could no longer allow herself to be a victim of secrets that had been hidden for too long. Her decision was not only to expose the truth, but also to regain her inner strength, the strength she had lost all this time. Nicole could no longer allow herself to be controlled by pain. She could no longer let what Carlton had done control her life. She slowly walked towards the door, her hand tightly gripping the bag containing the documents she had just collected, the evidence that was enough to destroy everything Carlton had built. It was not just a fight between her and him, but a fight to restore her own dignity, to regain the respect she deserved. Carlton had thought he could control everything, but he was wrong. Nicole had lived in the shadow of lies for too long, but now, she was ready to step into the light, step out of his shadow. Nicole's footsteps echoed in the silent house, but in her heart, they were the footsteps of a victor. Each step contained determination, each beat of her heart was an affirmation that she would not let herself be pushed into a dark corner anymore. She would stand up, not only for herself but also for what she had lost, for her own dignity. Even if it meant sacrificing everything, Nicole would do it. The room she once called home, where her seemingly perfect dreams had now become a place filled with secrets and lies, would no longer be a place she could hide from. Nicole was ready to face Carlton, to face the things he had hidden for so long. And when she faced him, she not only wanted revenge, but also to regain her freedom, to regain her life. Carlton had created a play, but Nicole would not be a character in that story. She would be the one to write her own ending, not a sweet ending, but the end of a journey filled with tears and pain, a journey filled with the triumph of a woman who had found her own strength. In that moment when she faced Carlton, when her words broke like a powerful wave crashing against his face, Nicole knew that she was no longer a weak woman, no longer a victim of lies. She was the master of her own destiny, and once she made up her mind, no one could stop her. Carlton may have been the man she loved, but he was no longer the man she needed. In Nicole's eyes, he was now just a ghost of the past that she needed to leave behind. This is not just a story of betrayal or broken love, but a story of rebirth, of a woman finding her strength and power again. Nicole will not collapse under hardship. She will fight, not only for justice, but for herself. And when it's all over, Nicole will stand tall, whether the world falls apart or not, because she has learned to love herself, and that's the most important thing in life.